Jesus says this woman who has many sins, she knows exactly who she is. She is under no delusion or illusion about what people think of her. She has surrendered herself and given of her heart. He says, your faith has saved you. Faith has a lot to do with surrendering ourselves to Christ. Oh, I know we're supposed to have a good ego and have a healthy self-image and all the things that the psychiatrists and psychologists tell us about positive self-image. Yeah, that's true. But we're not supposed to think too highly of ourselves, are we? My mother used to say, now, David, don't let that halo slip down and choke you to death. Kept me humble. You surrender who you are to Christ. The woman who cried tears of anguish and washed Jesus' feet with her hair was giving all that she had. And she was in communion with Him. And when is another time that you anoint a body in Jewish culture? Is when there's a death. So this was a moment that was pointing forward to Jesus' crucifixion. Jesus knew that. They didn't know that in the room. She may not have known that, but Jesus knew that. It meant something to him. It touched him. He says she's given her all. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. Faith has to do with total surrender. Faith has to do with confessing who we are and all of our problems and all of our hurts. Faith has to do with forgiveness. It's hard to forgive people who have hurt us. It's hard to forgive people who have done evil things to us. It's hard to forgive people who have treated us wrongly. But it's the great gift of the Christian religion. Forgiveness. It means you can start over again. You can start afresh. You can start anew. It won't be held against you. Slate is wiped clean by Christ. It has to do with being willing to step outside the bounds of our comfort zone and do what God needs to do. Bishop Gwynn told a story at the annual conference that I thought was a wonderful story, and I thought I would conclude this message with it today before we do our communion, because it talks about getting out of your comfort zone. It talks about being in a situation kind of like this with the woman party crasher and being outside of things that just feel good and reassuring but put us on the front line and the cutting edge of faith. He said this was a story Jameson Jones told. A friend of his was an Episcopal priest, and he liked to ride motorcycles. And he went into the motorcycle shop one day, and he was looking at this gorgeous Harley. It had chrome down the side and the saddlebags and the great big motor, and was shiny. A few of you are smiling, you know. And he was looking at it, and the salesman came up and says, "Oh, yeah, it's quite a hog. So this thing will lay down rubber for 100 yards at a time. You can get a wheelie in all 4 gears. When you ride down the street in this, people take a look at you. When you hear that rumble down the street, you know what you're doing. And by the way, what kind of work do you do?" And the fellow says, "Well, I'm an Episcopal priest." And all of a sudden, the salesman's looking at his shoes and changes his voice, and he says, "Well, you know, they get very good gas mileage." And because it's wide open, you have unlimited visibility. You know, they're very maneuverable, and they'll stop on a dime, very safe. And the priest says, "No, I really like that it'll go 120 miles an hour." Why is it that people expect when we say that we're a Christian that we are not going to be on that motorcycle? More likely, we're going to be on a lawnmower. Nice and responsible, go slow, mows the yard. Why is it that Christian faith has become such a safe haven, and we don't feel like there's any rest, any excitement, and any risk anymore? And Bishop ended with this line, which I thought it was great. He says, the church is called to be out there in the world. Wouldn't it be great if we could take her out there on the highway and give her the gas and see what she would do? We've got to get out of our comfort zone. Go to the places where those who have been judged and those who are hurting and those who need God's forgiveness, we can offer that wonderful word of truth. Simon, you see this woman here? You didn't kiss me. You didn't wash my feet. You haven't anointed my head. She knows who she is. And then he looks her straight in the eye in front of all those judging, pious people and says, your faith has saved you. Go in peace. That's the liberating word we have for this world, friends. You can surrender to Christ and start over again. It's our witness to the world. Amen.